Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's CRC Engine Care Spotlight. Advances in engine and vehicle technology continually reduce the toxicity of engine exhaust, but your vehicle still needs to pass a yearly emissions test to meet EPA standards. And if you have an older vehicle, that can make you a nervous wreck. Solution? CRC's Guaranteed to Pass. CRC developed Guaranteed to Pass specifically for cleaning out the harmful gums and varnish from the fuel system and emission control components that can cause your engine to fail emissions testing. But Guaranteed to Pass benefits go far beyond as you enjoy easier starts, faster acceleration, and better airflow. Worried that your car won't pass the test? You've got nothing to lose. Like the name says, CRC guarantees Guaranteed to Pass. So if your vehicle fails its emission test, you'll get double your money back. Find more automotive maintenance solutions at crcindustries.com or Facebook at CRC Auto.
O'Reilly.
Not an O'Reilly O-Rewards member yet? Now you can sign up online at orewards.com. Enroll today and start earning $5 back on every $150 you spend. Visit orewards.com and become an O'Reilly O-Rewards member today. It's fast, easy, and free. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How can you improve battery performance? Make sure your next battery has power frame grid technology, a more advanced kind of positive grid technology that's designed to combat the common causes of premature battery failure. Power frame grid technology is formed from a single sheet of precisely rolled and stamped metal. This patented manufacturing process makes the battery more resistant to corrosion. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength. Visit powerframe.com to find a retailer near you.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Where are you going?
To kill the weeds.
Whoa, don't kill the grass too, like you did last time.
Hey, wise men make mistakes. They just don't make them twice.
What's different this time?
This time, I've got Ortho Weed Begone Max. It kills weeds down to the root, but unlike other products, it doesn't kill the grass.
Ooh, so impressive.
Well, I've done it the wrong way, so I figured I might as well try it the right way.
I'm all for that.
Kill the weeds, not the grass. Ortho Weed Begone Max, and defend what's yours.
It straddles the line between timeless classic and modern luxury.
The grape tomato.
The ruby red in a sea of greens. The muse behind the great chef, Boyardee.
Beefaroni. Mi amore.
Oh, tomato. Are you fruit? Are you vegetable?
What is tea?
Groceries, essentials, signature value.
The Everyday Collection by Target.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
How and why Haggerty Insurance, Classic Insurance, has partnered with, and why Nationwide has partnered with Haggerty.
Well, thank you, Bobby. The reason really that Nationwide looked at it was we had what was called a stated value policy for our classic car customers, which is typical with most of your normal, what I call normal non-classic insurance carriers. And Nationwide said, we need to do better for our members. We need to give them a guaranteed value on their vehicle versus a stated value. A stated value simply is a $20,000 Camaro is destroyed in a fire. They may get 20 or they may get up to 20,000. So we said this is not good enough. We went to Haggerty. Haggerty loves our partnership, and it is an alliance between the two. Now we offer guaranteed value for these vehicles so that if your car is destroyed and we have it valued at $20,000, $20,000 is what you get, no questions asked. Two major carriers. Haggerty's the global leader of antique car insurance in the world. Nationwide is a Fortune 100 enterprise, and I think its name and brand speaks for itself.
Well, I think that's true for both insurance companies. But I have a question. Let's say that I have an automobile that I'm working on. In fact, I've restored a Porsche, a 1980 model, for some 9 years. And I'm in the throes of, you never finish those cars, but let's just say that I've got one in the garage at home. Is that covered, and is that part of the new partnership overview?
Well, it would not be covered under your homeowner's insurance. Vehicles, personal automobile collector, or normal daily drivers must be insured on their own. And that is one of the greatest things, Bobby, thanks for bringing that up, that Haggerty Nationwide does, is we will insure your collector car while it's under construction, which is key. The car could be sitting there with the interior gutted, engine over in one corner, drivetrain in another, and we'll insure it as is at your value, and we'll escalate the value based on your advice as the car gets closer toward completion. That is one of Haggerty's shining spots, is the fact that they will do a car under construction.
I think it's very forward thinking, which is the way I love technology, and I think it's very forward thinking for the decision makers at Nationwide and at Haggerty Classic to have even considered joining hands. And I think the partnership certainly brings to your customers and your clients not only increased services, but coverage that they didn't have before. Let's shift gears. I know you have one 56 Chevrolet, and the car that we actually posted online. It's turquoise, and I know there are two different types of turquoise, but folks, if you can just picture this, it's turquoise and white station wagon, and it's drop dead gorgeous and just shines by itself. How long have you had that car? And I understand you have plans to change a perfectly good automobile.
Well, Bobby, that's what car guys do. They it's almost like an interior decorator buying a home. You've got to change colors and change the carpet and so forth. This Bel Air I bought last March, not long ago, at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, at the Run to the Sun. It is a 56 four-door Bel Air wagon. It is dark turquoise and white. It is a gorgeous car, I think. I know I'm a little biased, but it's a beautiful car. But as many car guys are doing now, they're modernizing the drivetrain for reliability, smoothness. Want to take an extended road trip? We're going to take the 56 engine transmission out of the car next week. After it, yes.
Air conditioned too?
Absolutely, absolutely. On hot days, the air conditioner feels pretty good, but I have a disease that many of my friends talk about, and it's just you buy an old car, you can't leave it alone. You got to kind of do something to it to make it yours. And that's what I'm doing with the wagon.
Well, it is a beautiful car, and I want to hear a little more about that, time permitting. But I want to switch gears here and turn the mic back over to Lenny. Lenny, Doc Dogs, really? Folks, I don't know if you know what Doc Dogs are. I did not until I came to the auto fair. And you tell us about the Doc Dogs.
The Doc Dogs are one of the featured events for the families. We offer kids 13 and under get in free to Auto Fair, and we invite the entire family. Well, not every kid has gotten the bite of the car lover disease, as Mike had said. So we want to keep them here so that mom and dad can enjoy these vehicles. And this is one of the ways that we're able to keep them connected. We have a big play zone where kids can come and bounce houses, and all of this is provided free. But Doc Dogs gave us another opportunity to entertain those that enjoyed cars, maybe enjoyed being with a car lover, but wanted something different. And all of us love dogs. Doc Dogs are the dogs that will actually launch off of a dock. They'll run down the dock, get into the air, jump into the water, and retrieve items. And it's an actual contest. They can go to Doc Dogs online, just Google it, and they'll be able to see the competition that's happening here. We also have Terracross, which is an extreme sport that is making its auto fair debut this weekend. We've got a 5th mile dirt oval, and what we've done is in the inside of it made basically a motocross track for these side-by-side type Polaris vehicles, and the folks have enjoyed that as well. Auto Fair is a real experience for the auto lovers and the families that come out twice a year here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for this big event.
How can our listeners connect to Lenny Batiki?
They can, really, I'm glad to be a part of the big organization at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have the at the track. They can follow on Facebook and Twitter. But really, Charlotte Motor Speedway is the place that folks need to come and connect with car lovers that are here. We're not just race people. We love the racing, but we love automotive experience. Drag racing, dirt track, the big NASCAR races, and, of course, Auto Fair. We love it like they love it, and we invite folks to come and follow Charlotte Motor Speedway on Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, always bookmark Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've got so many cool things going on all the way through the holidays.
Thanks for joining us, Lenny Batiki, and also Mike Balcom from Nationwide. Mike, thank you so much, and congratulations on your hot rods.
Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. It's been a great fun being here. Good luck to you going forward and to all the listeners.
Whether you're a DIYer or a brake professional, be sure your brake job is complete by replacing all the brake hardware with Carlson quality brake hardware. Why? A brake job is more than simply replacing shoes and pads. Fact is, when you also replace springs, clips, and other hardware parts that hold all brake components in place, your brakes will perform better and last longer. It's a small investment to ensure your brake job is complete and done right. Invest in the best. Invest in Carlson quality brake hardware kits with every brake job.
O'Reilly.
Eventually, it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hard-working premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction, brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Fact or Friction, additive packages are key in quality. Fact. Of a quart of synthetic oil, 15 to 25% is its total additive package, including anti-wear agents, detergents, dispersants, and antioxidants. An oil's additive package does the heavy lifting, and ultimately its lubrication factor, friction and heat reduction, and ability to rev up performance are measures of an additive package's quality. Royal Purple's proprietary Centerlec technology was developed over years of rigorous testing and real-world use. Fact is, Royal Purple solved a vibration problem with the China Star 125-mile-per-hour bullet train. When choosing oil for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple High Performance Motor Oil. Visit RoyalPurple.com for all the Royal Purple advantages, then pick up Royal at Pep Boys.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Tom Bodette talking to you on a cell phone to demonstrate how easy it is to make reservations in Motel 6 when you're on the road. Uh-oh, I'm just about to head into a tunnel. Anyway, just call 1-800-4-MOTEL-6. Clean, comfortable room. Lowest price of any national chain. Oh, sorry, this stupid phone's cutting out on me. Man, I hate these things. Call you back. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you. And Accor Hotel.
Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, brought to you by Auto Insurance.
I love you, Romeo.
I love you, Juliet.
Too bad our families hate each other.
Yeah.
How is Geico able to guarantee my claim repairs and still save me money?
Don't know.
I love you anyway.
All right, then.
We can guarantee claim repairs for as long as you own your car, and you could save 15% on car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back. We're live from the PRN studios at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. It's one of the coolest, craziest, biggest car shows of the year with, as I said earlier, thousands of classic and exotic cars and 50 car clubs. We're going to have a gentleman with us a little later in the program and talk about exotic cars. Of the nearly 100,000 folks, I can tell you, I think that they're all here this morning. It's unbelievably busy outside, and we're inside the PRN studios You can check us out at Bobby Likis on Facebook, Twitter, and now on Instagram. And this Car Clinic Global Cast is brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. You heard from Mike Balcom about the partnership. What a great opportunity for you to check it out. And if you're building a car, even if you have it in your garage and it's not yet running, you can get that car covered through Nationwide and the Haggerty partnership. What a terrific opportunity for you. And rather than a stated value, you can talk about the value, and you can then make sure that your property is valued where you'd like it to be. I want to introduce a gentleman now that Walt Hollifield. You're going to love this man. He restored Elvis's 1973 Stutz Blackhawk. We're going to talk about the GTO era. I want to welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic from the PRN studios in Charlotte, Walt Hollifield. Walt, welcome.
Well, good morning and thanks.
You know, you are an icon. I had no idea. Let's kick it off. Talk about GTOs and classic cars, and just give us the 30,000-foot overview of that era of the muscle car.
Well, the muscle car was created by John DeLorean, as we all come to know and love. And the 64 GTO kicked off the muscle car craze, where an average Joe could go out and afford to buy a high-performance car, which would be an intermediate with a large motor in it.
And you have a collection of cars. I won't ask you the number because I know you don't give the number, but you have a large collection, of which is the first 64 GTO ever?
We do, yes. Yes, it's Hearst-Go with the black painted top, and it was delivered by Pete Estes, the president of Pontiac Motor Division at the time, to a gentleman in South Carolina, and we recovered a car from him.
Well, tell me about, let's talk about the horsepower of, say, the 64 GTO, and then quickly up through to the Judge. And,
sure.
You know, and then also your background with regard to engines and what have you. I mean, how were you when you had your first car?
Well, when I had my first car, I was like 12 years old.
And when did you first drive?
A 55 Chevy.
And how old were you when you first drove, and what was that?
I was like 9 years old when I first drove, because I was raised around the country, and we had to learn how to drive real quick in order to survive. But not drive fast, but learn how to drive quick.
I didn't know there was a difference. So you had your car since you were 12, 55 Chevrolet. How long did you keep it before you started to modify it, to tinker with it?
Really started on it immediately. We were doing things to it. Even when I was 12 years old, we were doing things to it. We were doing cams and boring it out. You know, it had a 265 in it. We got a 283 and put it in it, and then we took a 283 out. And when the 300 horse 327s came out,
right,
in '62, we put one of those in it, and so we were always constantly building it better and better and better. And we still have that car to this day.
I was going to ask you if you still had it, and I was going to ask you, did you ever finish the car?
Well, we did, and we. But over the years, we've decided to start looking at some new engine combinations, and we're going to be rebuilding it again. So
the answer to that is, you know, do car guys ever really reach the end, or do they sell and go again?
They really never reach the end. They might finish a project, but they never reach the end of the hobby. They just don't. I mean, it just keeps consuming them, you know.
And I understand that your grandson, you feel your grandson's going to be in the car.
I think my grandson's going to pick up the banner and start going with it, because he's only 10 years old, and he's already interested in Jeeps, and he's already started working on one. We got him one, and he's playing with it right now.
We're talking with Walt Hollifield. Let's talk about moonshine.
Well, moonshine, you know, is it was actually the backbone of the economy during the Depression, and it was something that's always been done around where I was raised. And moonshine is definitely it's part of the fabric that we grew up with. You know, it's in our heritage. And fast cars took the streets, and they didn't take the streets to get there quick with the moonshine. They made them fast so they could outrun the law.
At that time, that's before radios, before satellite GP, many years ago. And in that era, individuals would buy small cars and put big motors.
In them, right? And seriously, there's a conversation with John DeLorean that was recorded where he said these shade tree mechanics were taking big motors and putting them in small cars all this time, and we were at General Motors and we were taking big motors trying to put them in big cars, make big cars go faster. And he said, and so part of that GTO that was made with that in mind, that these guys were out there trying to cram these motors in the cars, and he figured that he would do it at the factory, and that's where the GTO was born. And it started with horsepower 348, got up to 360, 366, 370, and the car that we have on display out here today has 565 horsepower. It's a Ram Air 5.
Wow.
And so he still had that in his engineering scheme of things, is to build the biggest, just keep putting bigger and bigger and more. And not only GM did it, but Chrysler did it. So did Ford. But he wanted to be at the top of the line. He wanted to be at the top of the pinnacle, and he made this 565 horsepower mule car, which we have on display out here today.
How large is your garage?
It's pretty good size. We kept dragging them in. We had to put them undercover. So we've got about between the two garages, we have over 20,000 square feet.
Over 20,000 square feet. Another question. Where do you see?
And if we treat them the same way, they'll pick up the baton and they'll keep going with it. Because if you take the street tuners, the super tuners, the import guys, they are all known, and they have that class in IHRA. If we keep looking at these guys, they're doing the motor skills as we were doing them. I was taking a 283 and making it bigger and faster, and I think you and I were talking before. I grew up where a guy felt like his 390 Ford putwood truck would pull, South Carolina across Georgia, and it would outrun anything that had a 283 in it, but they could never figure out that we were working off of gear ratios and horsepower to weight, and it's just things that grow. And these guys are becoming phenomenal about making the shade tree a digital industry, and taking it out and just turning phenomenal times with these import cars and the domestic produced cars too.
Walt Hollifeld, who is the GTO expert, and I know from personal conversations, an auto enthusiast since he was, I think you were probably born with a steering wheel there close by. Let's talk about and share with our Car Clinic listeners the GOAT story.
The GOAT story is that name on the GTO technically came about at the drag strips, because the joke is the Chrysler guys couldn't spell GOAT. They couldn't spell GTO, but they could spell GOAT. The GTO, so all of a sudden they started calling them GOAT, and a lot of it was all in good banner, and they were also calling some of the Plymouth and Dodges were called GOATs too, but they started calling the GTO GOAT because it started with a G, and that had a lot to do with it. And the other thing is the GTO was called a Tiger car. It was ran the Tiger paw when it first came out, the Uniroyal, and they started calling it the Tiger car. And Pontiac Motor Division with Milt Shornack, they raced the Tiger, and you could go out and race the Tiger. And then they started talking about it being a GOAT instead of a Tiger, because it had to be a little demeaning. You go through the Ford Fixer Repair Daily, the Mopar Move Over, People Are Racing.
I thought Ford was first on race day. I didn't know it was Fixer Repair Day.
Well, you talk about the Mopar, the best I'd ever heard was Move Over, People Are Racing, because, I'm a GM man, but they'd look at me and they'd say gas, tires, and oil, or get the tools out.
One more quick story, and because coming up, folks, we have Jeff Spiegel, and he's here to talk and share with us information about the exotic cars. So if you're a Lamborghini interest lies that way, you'll want to stay tuned. But Walt, the bottom line, speaking of exotic cars, and I think the classic cars are the opposite of those automobiles, but just share with us, the young audience, you drove and tested and road tested a GTO against the new GTO for General Motors.
That's correct.
And just in a short period of time, which car was fastest, the old GTO or the one that GM said was the fastest GTO ever delivered?
The old GTO.
And by what what difference?
Well, it was a full second and a half, not a full second and a quarter, but a full second and a half faster than what they brought in with the 2004 GTO. We ran a 1356 with the Ram Air 4, which was respectable, and they ran a 1496 or 1494.
So I presume that they were surprised, that the corporate was surprised.
They really were, because we've got to hear all the things about abuse management system built inside the computer, that that the timing would advance when you held the accelerator the same time you held the gas pedal.
Right.
That, they had to cold launch it. They couldn't have mashed the brake to launch it, but we had a lot of fun with it, and we actually wound up taking the new GTO and comparing it with the new Ford Cobra at the time in 2004.
Really?
And they were both very close. One was once we got them all running and dialed in, and the air pressure set and everything good on them, we had 1411 on the GTO and 1414 on the Ford. Which again, that's buying the car. That's very respectable.
Very much. Walt Hollifield, all over, all under, not only GTO, but just for the classic car segment and for the automotive enthusiast. And the lesson that I learned from being around you, sir, yesterday was that indeed the Charlotte Auto Fair is the history of transportation and the interest and the passion of the auto enthusiast and how it affects our future. I want to thank you for joining Bobby Likis Car Clinic right here in the PRN studios. Continue to do what you do, sir.
Well, thank you for your input in the world.
Thank you. Stay tuned, folks. Back with John Spiegel.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Today's fact is about the difference between cellulosic ethanol and advanced ethanol. Cellulose refers to the material comprising the cell walls of any green plant and is the most common organic compound found on Earth. Cellulosic ethanol is produced by turning the sugars in cellulose into alcohol fuel. Advanced ethanol is sourced from non-cellulosic feedstocks, including sugars and starches other than cornstarch. Upon EPA approval, advanced ethanol production from grain sorghum will give the nation another option as it aims to meet the federal goal of producing 36 billion gallons of renewable fuels per year by 2022. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I'm your blind spot. And my job is easy. Hide big things.
You're good.
And if you named your own price on car insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate agents.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
If you're familiar with the Kulsiford section of the newspaper, you probably understand quite well. You see, in the Kulsiford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Gluck sedan with like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're live from the PRN studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. What a great show. And if you enjoyed to date so far the guests that we've had on, the gentleman with us that I've officially named Jeff Spiegel with RK Motors, and that's the high-end consignment house, Mercedes-Benz. There's one of the vehicles that I looked at in the Nationwide Pavilion yesterday. And by the way, this car clinic, Global Crest, is brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. Jeff's going to share with us information about exotics. And, you know, I felt that we were at a classic car show. When you get here, you've got thousands of cars, thousands of people, and thousands of vendors, and all makes, years, and models, anything that you want to see. So I want to, at this time, officially welcome Jeff, not John Spiegel. Jeff.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Let's talk about specifically, how many cars did you bring to the show?
We brought 2 cars to the show.
Just the 2?
Just the 2 Mercedes, yes.
Unbelievable. Tell us about the 1000, which I'm so enamored with. I looked at that automobile, and folks, the more you look at that car, the more it resembles a slot racer on steroids, a cockpit of an airplane.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm from Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida, is our home base, the Car Clinic Studios. So you know, everywhere you see, they're F-14s and the like. But give us an overview of that car first, and just an overview of your company as well.
Sure. I'll start with the car. The C1000 was built in 1995, and it was actually commissioned by a wealthy Middle Eastern businessman who wanted to build the fastest car in the world. And in 1995, he went to Mercedes-Benz and told them what the concept was and what he was trying to figure out. Mercedes at the time probably couldn't do it on their own, so they went to this company called Lotec, and Mercedes and Lotec worked together. That's where the name came from. It's a German company called Lotec. And they set out to create this 200-plus mile-an-hour supercar, and it took about 3+ years to build it, about $3.5 million. And it wound up being the fastest car in the world at 268 miles per hour.
Is it still the fastest car, or the Veyron
yeah,
knocking on
I
the
think
door?
the Veyron was the one that kind of knocked it down a little bit off its podium. But you look at 1995 and that kind of speed, that's pretty impressive for the time. And today it would be impressive as well. But we've had the consignment in our facility now since our auction of last November. So it's a great car. It's not owned by us. It's one of our consignment cars. The CLK GTR is owned by Rob Coffin, our chairman. And that again is a rare car. The Lotec, by the way, is one of one in the world. It was hand built.
Really?
It was hand built and assembled, and there'll never be a car like that again.
How many miles on the car are there typically?
Don't know, because that engine's been torn apart and rebuilt and so forth. Before we got it for consignment, I think several $100,000 were put into the car to kind of bring it back up. But I know at one point the engine was dismantled and has been completely rebuilt. So don't have any clue what the mileage, the true mileage is.
Give us a 30,000-foot view of RK Motors.
Sure. RK Motors, we were founded in 2010, and RK is kind of a collaboration between Robert Kaufman and Joseph Carroll. Used to run Best of Show out of Ohio, and Rob's always had kind of a personal collection. His first car, actually, of his collection is his prized F40. He loves that car, and he always says, if I was to sell all my collection and that was the last car to go, then that would be it, because that's the one he would hold on to till the end. So those two gentlemen met, and they created the passion that Rob had was for cars, and Joe was already running something related to cars, doing restoration, and he also had a museum up in Ohio called the Mentor Museum of Speed. And the two of them joined forces to create RK Motors. And a platform was created at that point to take some of the best American classics and muscles that you can find in high-performance cars, put them all under one roof, and make them available for sale. Whereas before, nobody really in the space was doing anything on the high end. A lot of times you would just have to go to the auction to find these rare cars. But we have them now in our showroom.
Well, you talk about high end. Give us an example of the low of the high. And what's the spread between the low of the high?
In price-wise? Or,
yes.
We have cars that somewhere in the mid-40s, and then we can have cars that go well into the hundreds of thousands, also into the millions.
And so do you have a current, let's just put a price on it, a $100,000 automobile. Do you have a current $100,000 automobile in-house?
Oh, absolutely. We've got several. Several. Most of them tend to be more of the, I would say right now, what's very popular are the Shelby GTs, the 350s and the 500s. Those that are blue chip investment have been completely restored. It's probably due to a lot with the Mustang 50th. I mean, we've done a lot around the Mustang 50th, so we personally have created a lot of attention to it. But I think a lot of people are just yearning for Shelby right now for whatever reason. His name is iconic, and obviously the fastbacks that he created are legendary. They pretty much set the tone for what a pony car, muscle car, should be as far as size, nimbleness, power to rate ratio, those kind of things. So just phenomenal vehicles overall. And the Chevelles and the Camaros are always popular. The ones that have been like Pro Toured or Resto Mods, those are the ones that kind of fall into the $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 because they have just a lot of high performance parts in them, so they cost quite a bit.
We're talking with Jeff Spiegel from RK Motors, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the Charlotte Motor Auto Fair. How did RK Motors get involved, and were you here last year? And
yeah, we've been I guess we've been involved in the auto fair for quite a while. Obviously, we have a relationship with the Speedway because we're all car guys and car lovers.
You test your cars out here occasionally?
I would love to, actually, yeah. But so I know that we've been at the auto fair. We've had booths here at the auto fair and things like that. And last year we also had a booth here for our auction. So we've got a good relationship with the Speedway. We think the auto fair is just a great venue in general for the pure hobbyists, the enthusiasts, the people that want to come and just phenomenal vehicles. And we're always proud to be part of it. This year, though, was a little bit different for us because usually we're talking American muscles and classics, and now we're talking fast and foreign of the Mercedes. So we're glad to have those two cars here. And so we just couldn't resist when we started talking about the conversation about getting those cars over here.
And how have you been received, would you say, from all of the viewers and all the attendees here?
I would say so far, I mean, I've been poking my head in and out, kind of nonchalant, looking around and just kind of watching people. And there's a lot of people that gather around those two cars, and they're just trying to figure out, okay, what's the first one being the low-tech? What is that? And the second one being the Roadster, the CLK GTR, which is one of 6 in the world. I mean, so nobody's really ever seen these cars before. And that's why they're so enthralled by them, because they're just trying to figure out what they are. And that's the coolest part about it, is those cars being so rare, they attract a wide audience because nobody's ever seen it.
We're talking with Jeff Spiegel from RK Motors, and we are live from the PRN studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you have a question of Jeff, I'll take your call at 888 Car Clinic. And interestingly enough, I'm going to ask you about the engines, and I'd like to know what the engine is in the 1000. And how many horsepower? You mentioned 268. Is that what the speed was?
268 was the speed. It's a twin turbo, and it's 1,000 horsepower. Hence the C1000. It was one of the first cars to generate that kind of horsepower that was actually good for the track and also be able to be driven on the road.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And the CLK GTR is no slouch either. That's got a V10 in it, and that's putting close to about 700 horsepower out. That's a carbon fiber body too, so that car is extremely light. Both cars probably well under 2,300 pounds. So you look at
1,000 horsepower, 2,300 pounds. So it doesn't take a lot of throttle to move the car.
No, the 0 to 60s are well in the 3s on both cars, so they're extremely quick.
That is truly amazing, and the car is beautiful. One of the things that I noticed on the vehicle with a carbon fiber body was that it had a seam on the front fender. But the seam was more purely for aesthetics, but it was beautifully laid out, and the bonnet, of course, folds forward.
Yes.
And I'm just was enamored by the car. And here you have on one side, as Walt shared with us, the GTO, the 64, the first official GTO that was sold and still owned by the people that bought it, brand new. And then folks directly across inside the pavilion there, the Nationwide Pavilion, you've got your Mercedes vehicles, and I congratulate you on those automobiles. Would you give us a price on the 1000? What would that be?
Well, the 1000 is currently for sale actually, and I think the price is just slightly under $800,000. The CLK GTR is valued at probably around $2 million. So definitely not cheap cars overall. But like I said, the CLK, the C1000 cost $3.5 million to build in 1995, and now it's slightly under $1 million for a price tag. But it is for sale. That is the car that is for sale. The CLK is not at this time.
Jeff Spiegel, what's your background? Were you always a car guy?
Car guy at heart. Cars, motorcycles. I've always gone to shows. My dad was a big big car guy, and we just traveled around and went to a lot of different car shows. And then I started working on cars and, making my mistakes and ruining cars in the process and those kind of things. But I've always been a car guy, but marketing is what I've been doing most of my career. And when I got the opportunity to come down here from Charlotte, I'm from Connecticut. I could not pass up the opportunity to work for an organization like RK Motors.
How did you find RK Motors?
On the internet. I basically really, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but our web traffic to our site is what really drives what we do, and we sell cars worldwide. We get about 300,000 plus visitors a month to our website, so
Really?
People usually find us online. That's
And
how
that-
they hear about us.
And that website?
It's Charlotte. It's rkmotorscharlotte.com, and it's just basically just phenomenal images. There's video. There's a lot of content. It talks about certain categories of vehicles that we do sell, and just a lot of good things too. Now we also own a lot of our vehicles as well. About 70% of our inventory we actually own, and about 30% right now is consignment. So we do both in the model. We do both our asset inventory as well as consignment vehicles.
In addition to Car Clinic and Bobby Likis Car Clinic for 23 years, we own and operate Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair, which is a bumper-to-bumper 43-year automotive service shop. We perform what's called a PPI, or pre-purchase vehicle inspection, which saved a lot of people a lot of money by inspecting cars. And we've made some dealers, we've upset some dealers as well, because we're so picky with our inspection.
Sure.
But the bottom line, when you got a car of this caliber and you look for things wrong, you really have to know that automobile, because there are things that you don't know from visual or from driving until you live with that car, say, a week. And that's just not practical. How do you keep from getting burned, and how do you keep from burning your customers? Is that a valid question?
It's a valid question. Yeah, I mean, either side of that coin is open for vulnerability, if you will.
Sure.
But we do a lot of painstaking research determining what cars that we're going to go after, whether we buy them at auction or whether we take them into consignment. And we're very driven to make sure that we do bring in the best. At times, though, we do have issues when we bring a car and we thought it was maybe a number one car, and it winds up being a two car because it's got a couple of issues. But we address those, take care of them, and so forth. As far as our customers outbound, we offer something called, which is seal of approval, and we go through all our cars anyway. We have technicians on hand. We've got a full service bay. We look at the car and we try to get into it as best as possible, not only cosmetically but mechanically underneath, suspension, transmission, engine, electrical, and so forth. And the seal of approval program really kind of helps our buyers, and it kind of gives them that feeling of entrustment that we're going to provide them with the highest quality vehicle that we can, because we do a multi-point inspection, as you had mentioned, to make sure that when that vehicle leaves, whether it's 40 or 50 years old, is in as good a shape as it can be. But as we all know, old cars do develop problems.
Oh, sure.
They're kind of like us, they're kind of like people. We develop problems over the years, so do the cars, but we try to make sure that we put the best product out that's absolutely possible.
And when you sell these cars, do you offer protection plans that go with the automobile? Can you get parts and help your customers, your buyers?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's always, like you said, age really affects transportation vehicles in classic cars, and I have several, more so than miles.
Absolutely.
And some of those cars are so incredibly expensive or incredibly valuable, even at a lower figure, that the owners don't drive them. And a car that's not driven is prone to break down as a car that's driven every day.
Absolutely.
So that's an important part, and I think the background that you have and what you bring to RK Motors is obvious, in as much as you understand the nature of the beast, and then you have a couple of guys, the owners, that had the idea, and you made it happen, or you definitely have helped to grow it. I see that.
Yeah, I like to think that we've definitely broadened the space too, not only with the hobbyist but also to the collector and the investor. And I think us being in the space that we are in, we've really been able to do a lot of kind of goodwill ambassadorship too to what we bring to the table. A lot of people have bought and sold cars in the past, and a lot of people have gotten burned, and there's a lot of issues with that. Sometimes they always say you never know what you're going to get, but we try to make sure that you know what you're getting, and it's the best quality that we can put forward. But yeah, it's been a very good experience. I've been there for about a year, and I've learned a lot, even more about cars, because now I have to be around 200 plus cars a day in inventory, and
200 cars.
200 plus cars a day that we have for sale at any given time. And we're always constantly bringing cars in, and there's just, you have to keep learning and learning. You just never stop learning about them.
One final question is, what do you drive?
Yeah. Well, right now I don't drive a Classic, unfortunately, but I do have a Chevy Avalanche as my daily transportation. But it's funny is my wife used to own a '69 Camaro RSSS, and I used to own a 1970 Chevelle back in the day with rusted out floorboards and all that kind of stuff. This is before it was kind of like the cool thing to restore. We just drove them, we didn't really think about them. But yeah, so my goal is to get back to owning a Classic once again. But
Jeff Spiegel from RK Motors, and your website is rkmotorscharlotte.com.
That's correct. RK Motors with an S. Don't forget that. Charlotte, the city, and .com. Correct.
Okay. Jeff, thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis here from the PRN studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Most interesting information. If you saw this car, it's unbelievable. The 1000 is it is a one-off, but it's a drop-dead gorgeous automobile. Interesting program today. What a great opportunity. Coming up, Scott Stewart, 5th generation Camaros of the Carolinas. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about that. We're going to take a break. Going to come back with a second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Per a study by Ricardo Engines, the vast majority of the vehicles sold through 2025 in the U.S. will use engines, which will require technology assists like turbo boosters and high-octane fuels like ethanol to meet the 54 PG CAFE mandate. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
We secretly sprayed Febreze all over fabrics in this Milwaukee home to see if the family notices how fresh it leaves their whole house. Ooh, here they come. Let's hide.
The door's unlocked.
Smells great in here. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. Are the windows open?
Febreze eliminates stale odors and stuffiness so your whole house feels fresh air clean.
This is nice.
Shh. Someone's behind the curtains.
Febreze, the more you use it, the more you love it.
Hey, Todd. Where's our sub?
Oh, Samantha. I've already given my sub to Sally.
What? Sally?
Hey, Samantha.
How could you?
I got a phone call. Todd.
Men.
This is Todd.
Get your own steak and bacon melt with mountains of juicy steak and melty cheese. Subway Steak Melts. Subway. Eat fresh.
My name's Roland Sands. I am a motorcycle builder, designer. Generally kind of stoked to bring things in my head to reality. That's what it is all about, bringing an idea to life. I mean, there's no more complete circle than that. That's the challenge, you know? I was around motorcycles, I mean, since I can remember, really. It's kind of been in my blood. When I was 18, it was like a drug addiction, man. Nothing else in my life really mattered a whole lot. It was like, I'm gonna go out and ride and race and try and win. So that's what I did for about 10 years. And I didn't know I was gonna be a national champion, and I didn't know that I'd end up winning national road races and breaking track records and racing at the highest level. I really wanted to go and make something of myself that didn't really have to do with anybody else, because I knew that no one would be able to take that away from me, you know? Pushing myself seems kind of like a way of life. Every time I was on a bike, I'd push, and I'd always push past the limit, and now I really get the majority of my satisfaction from creation. I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders, I guess I am, but what's different is in this realm of building motorcycles, it's not about being the best as much as it's about just creating and wanting to build new stuff and cool stuff. To constantly innovate is the challenge, always doing something new and different. And today it's so tough because there's so many people building really great things, it's hard to stand out, you know? So you gotta constantly push. Creating something, it is about bringing something to life. A motorcycle to me is like the personification of that because it like involves so many different things. It involves art, fabrication, design, engineering, rubber, steel, aluminum, titanium, paint, wood, whatever you can throw at it. So motorcycles are to me like the finest display of bringing an idea to life, making it real, making something you can actually touch, feel, and ride. That's what it's all about. Being on a bike for me is just essential to life. It's the purest expression of freedom and mobility. The faster you go, the harder you ride, the harder you push, you feel it so much more on a motorcycle. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you know it. It's draining physically, but also mentally, because you put so much focus into it. When you're on a bike, it strips everything else away. It just makes anything else in your life disappear. I'll never be away from bikes. It's just what I do, what my family does, what everyone I know does, so safe to say I'll be around for a little while. I don't see any other way for me personally but to just go after it every day. It just makes sense to me, so that's what I do. Life is one big project. You gotta hit it every day.
Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty. Good morning, folks. Welcome. We are live from the PRN studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. This is one of the coolest. It's crazy outside, but it's unbelievable. We're inside the studios, the PRN studios, the biggest car show of the year with thousands of classic and exotic automobiles. We've had terrific guests so far on today's Car Clinic broadcast, but coming up, very interesting, Scott Stewart. We're going to talk about the fifth generation Camaros of the Carolinas, because we are in, indeed, Charlotte, North Carolina. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Power Frame Grid Technology. Grid Royal Purple, my choice for all synthetic oils and lubricants. 888 Car Clinic is the number, 888-227-2546. I also want to give a congratulations and thanks. This Car Clinic Globalcast is brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. What a great partnership. So if you have a classic car or if you're building one in the garage, check them out. Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty. Meanwhile, short commercial break. Back with Scott Stewart. Don't touch that dial. Like us, you're going to love us.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction, brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Automatic transmissions generate heat and depend on the transmission fluid for cooling and protection. Fact. Yes, transmissions generate a lot of heat, and especially so when towing, tackling hills, and increasing your vehicle's weight with cargo or passengers. And while more than 90% of all automatic transmission failures are caused by overheating, the life of a transmission can be doubled by a 20-degree reduction in fluid temperature. Royal Purple's Max ATF is a synthetic, high-performance automatic transmission fluid that significantly reduces heat and wear, making shifting smoother and extend life. When choosing oil, lubricants, or additives for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple. Visit royalpurple.com for testimonials and for all the Royal Purple advantages. Then pick up Royal Purple's Max ATF at Pep Boys today.
My car's a sauna. What's with this air conditioning?
You need an AC Pro.
Know any?
Yeah, you.
You got me confused with somebody else.
You're a pro with new do-it-yourself AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
But
You know where to find the hood?
That thing up front?
Exactly. AC Pro's easy, fast, and saves you money. You'll have your car's AC blowing cold air in minutes.
I did it! It's like a freezer in here.
Be a pro with new AC Pro, the 10-minute cold air solution.
Got a sweater?
When it comes to your car battery, you expect it to work. Turn the key and go. Thanks to state-of-the-art engineering, strong, consistent starts are exactly what you get with Power Frame Grid technology. Batteries that use Power Frame Grid technology provide superior cranking power with up to 70% better electrical flow than other grid designs. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength on the inside. Visit powerframe.com to find a retailer near you.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Nothing can wreck an evening like getting busted for not listening. And because at Molson we've been helping you make friends since 1786, here's a practice exercise to help you focus on her, even in a distracting bar. Listen closely, you will be quizzed.
My cousin Valerie last week.
He tries the right side. He breaks the tackle. Oh!
He's 7 pounds, 2 ounces. So cute. Blue eyes, red hair. He was a breech baby, so you know.
I just want a guy to give me a good time all night long. No strings attached.
For her. She was in labor for 17 hours.
Dudes, who wants some Molson? I'm buying.
I hope. They named him Aiden. I like it. Masculine.
Oh, is my bong showing again?
Probably because they met in London.
Okay, what was her cousin's name, baby's weight, sex, eye color, hair, time in labor? If you answered Valerie Aiden, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, boy, blue, red, 17 hours, congratulations. If you didn't, keep practicing. With an easy drinking Molson, of course. Molson. Friends since 1786. Imported from Canada by Molson USA, LLC, Golden, Colorado.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And for those of you who may not have tuned in to the first hour of today's broadcast, we're live from the PRN studio at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. Indeed, one of the coolest, craziest, biggest car shows of the year. And just let me give you a rundown here. Exotic Performance Vehicle Display. It's the largest collection of exotics in auto fair history, including Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Aston Martins and, of course, Mercedes. unbelievably, a Mercedes that set the world record for speeds at 268 miles an hour in 1995. The 50th anniversary of the Pontiac GTO. Dock Dogs Big Air. What's that? Dock Dogs, folks, you've never seen a dog fly off of a dock to chase into the water. It's something that you have to see. It's a competition. It's a great family affair. In fact, for me, the Charlotte Auto Fair is a family affair in its entirety. Classic car auctions, dozens of classic cars on the block, play zone for kids, nationwide insurance display, and for your information, Nationwide and Haggerty have actually joined partners now, and if you have a classic car, you'll want to reach out to your Nationwide agent locally and ask how your classic car can be covered, because that really adds coverage to both Haggerty and to Nationwide. It's a great partnership. There's a huge car corral with more than 1,500 vehicles, 50 car clubs, and speaking of car clubs, with us is Scott Stewart. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Grim Reaper, but he's going to share with us information. He is the president of the 5th generation Camaros of the Carolinas. Scott, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, as president, what's your duty?
I'm more or less taking in new members. I get them signed up for the club, get their shirts and stuff ordered. I also plan events and, just more or less oversee basically everything with the car club. I have a committee that helps me do this, but, they all kind of go through me and we work together as a team.
So I would imagine, how many cars did you bring to the Charlotte Auto Fair?
We have 23 Camaros here today, 5th generation Camaros.
And from what year would that cover?
That's 2010 through 2014.
And fast car, which one would be that's an automatic question. Tell us a little more about the cars, and specifically if you have a favorite or not, or if you dare say which is your favorite.
No, all the members of the club, it's really weird because they've kind of been unique in what they've done with their own car. Everybody's come up with their own theme, and naturally the ZL1 Camaro, we have several of those in the club. That's naturally going to be the car club that we have, but we have a lot of really unique cars. It's not only fast ones, just a lot of different modifications that each member has done, and they've done it to their own taste. So
with regard to clubs, it has been my experience that there's a lot of money raised for charities.
Yes.
Share with us any of that you'd care to, any of the recent events or the planned events that you have coming up in addition to the Charlotte Auto Fair.
Yeah, each year we do the North Carolina Camaro Gathering, which is held here in Concord. And we had it this past year, and we raised money for Levine's Children's Hospital. We raised $4,000. And we'll have it again this, and the money we raise for this coming year will be for Brenner's Children's Hospital. So we kind of rotate it back and forth between the two major children's hospitals here in the state. And it's open to all generation Camaros, so it's not only 5th generation for the Camaro Gathering. It's any Camaro, any year model, can come to this show. And so it's April the 24th through the 26th, and we have it right here in Concord. And it's open to anybody in the U.S. as well. Last year we had 12 different states showing here.
So do you have like prizes for the person that,
yes.
All car shows have that.
Right.
Who travel the furthest distance?
Right. Camaro Janet's what we call her. She come from Seattle, Washington, so she was the furthest that came this past April.
Right.
And but yes, we have silent auction items. A lot of these big companies and stuff donate stuff for us to auction off, and we have a car show on Saturday, a big car show. We give out like top 75 awards, and best of show. Have a light competition on Friday night. But all the money that's raised through the car shows and the silent auction items, we do a silent raffle. All that money that we raise, 100% of it goes to the charity that for that year, whether it be Levine's or Brenner's.
Well, Scott Stewart, the president of the 5th generation Camaros of the Carolinas. Scott, how many members are in the club?
Currently, we're at 178 members.
And how did you get involved? Were you always a Camaro guy? And he's
Yeah.
smiling, folks. You should see the smile on his face now. There's a story here somewhere, and I'm going to dig it out.
Me and my wife actually dated in a 1971 Camaro Z28.
I knew it. I knew there had
Yeah.
to be some reason. So I guess you both have a favorite spot for your
Right.
in your heart for your Camaro.
Oh, yes.
Do you still have that car?
No, unfortunately, me and my wife, we met real early in high school. I got married pretty young out of high school. So when I got married, we decided to sell the car to get us something a little bit better on gas mileage, and which at the time, I thought was a smart move. Today, I could kick myself, but no, that I always liked the Camaro, and even when I sold that one, I told my wife, I said, when the new Camaro comes out, because I was seeing pictures of the 5th generation Camaro that they were coming out in Transformers, I was like, first time I see an orange one on the lot, I'm stopping it and I'm buying the car.
So a quick question: the new Corvette,
yes,
which I think is drop dead gorgeous, and I've always felt, and one of my cars is a Viper, which I love, but I always felt that the Corvette was probably the best bang for the buck out of Detroit.
Right.
When you look at the engine, the powertrain, the power plant, the plastic parts, the drive shafts, I mean those things that need to be lightweight but still strong. My only exception, who cares, is the taillights. I love the taillights of the Camaro on the.
Right.
I don't care for the taillights on the Corvette, but that's the only negative thing, and it's really not negative. It's the only thing that I would say that is strange that GM would do that. The Camaros that have you ever owned a Corvette?
No,
no,
I haven't ever.
Good for you.
3 Camaros.
Three
but no,
Camaros,
yeah.
and what do you currently own? What do you drive?
I've got a 2010 RS Camaro, Inferno Orange. It's actually, I bought it in February of 2010, so it was from the first line of the new Camaro.
So when they changed the Camaro, were you driving an older Camaro at that time?
No, I actually traded
He's smiling again, folks.
I traded a Chevrolet pickup on the Camaro as soon as I seen it on the lot. And I actually probably shouldn't say this, but when I seen the orange one on the lot, I was actually on my way to work that morning, and I quickly thought, it ain't going to be there long, so I called in sick to work and went over and bought the car.
And did it meet your expectations?
Oh, it's exceeded my expectations. It's
I looked on the hood of one of those vehicles, and it reminded me of a throwback in a great way to the days when you could get over in the engine. You could actually see the headers. You could see the alternator, you could see the air conditioning system, and it wasn't all completely covered with plastic like most luxury cars are or most new cars are.
Right.
And I said, someone at GM, if we could go all the way back, as Walt Hollifield mentioned earlier when DeLorean was there, someone at GM says we need to give our buyers what they want. Mm-hmm. And so do you feel like you got what you want from GM?
I do. I mean, like I say, the other 2 Camaros I own were both V8s. This one's actually a V6 Camaro, but it's by far a lot faster car than the V8s were of old. So, a lot of torque, runs very fast, real fuel economy's good. So, you get the best of both worlds there, and I've been ecstatic about mine.
And the Charlotte Auto Fair, the nationwide Haggerty sponsorship here for our broadcast and the PRN studios. I want to thank you for being a part and sharing with us some your personal insight and your information and your history. And it's great for one car guy to be around another car guy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really, really terrific. And speaking of car guys, folks, coming up is Dr. Andy Randolph from Earnhardt Children's Racing. And another gentleman that probably needs no introduction, Ray Evernham, the host of Velocity TV's Americana. Scott, it's great to have you on the air and to share time with you, and the show doing well for you and your members.
Oh, yes, exactly. We're continuously growing. I think we're very active in the community and stuff, and it's just far exceeded my expectations when I started this club 4 years ago.
That's music to my ears, and I know that it's music to the Charlotte Motor Speedway and all of the great people here. It's just it is a family affair. The Charlotte Auto Fair is a family affair. It's an annual, and even though it continues to grow, it still has that tightness of a family affair. And I want to thank you for joining me on Car Clinic.
Thank you. Enjoyed being here.
And folks, you don't touch that dial, because coming up, Andy Randolph and Ray Evernham. Stay tuned. I'm Bobby Likis, back after this commercial break.
This Tire Maintenance Minute is brought to you by General Tire and the G-Max AS03, the ultra-high-performance all-season tire. Egyptian hieroglyphics couldn't be any more alien than the strange array of letters and numbers printed on the sides of your tires. Just what does, for example, P185/75 space R14 mean? P stands for passenger vehicle, and 185 is tire width in millimeters. 75 is tire's height to width ratio, and R14 says the diameter of the wheel is 14 inches. Tire babble solved. Now, drive to GeneralTire.com to learn more about the G-Max AS03, the ultra-high-performance all-season tire that delivers precise response in dry and wet conditions. And while you're there, check out the Tire Stacks and Greenbacks promotion, where you can get up to $70 cash back with the purchase of 4 General tires. Visit GeneralTire.com for details.
If your car's air conditioning isn't blowing cold air,
it isn't,
then you need an AC Pro.
Is there one around here?
Yeah, you.
Me? But I can't.
New do-it-yourself AC Pro is the 10-minute cold air solution. It's fast, easy, and saves you money. With AC Pro, you'll have cold air blowing again in just minutes.
Wow, it's freezing in here, and I did it myself.
See? You are an AC Pro.
Yes, I am.
New AC Pro, the 10-minute do-it-yourself auto AC cold air solution.
Ordinary, extraordinary, ultimate. Now you can get the ultimate in performance and protection with the ultimate oil change. Royal Purple high-performance motor oil with a Royal Purple high-performance filter. Royal Purple engineered a long-life filter that provides superior filtration, maximizes flowability, and has more than twice the burst strength of conventional filters. So take it to the limit. Royal Purple high-performance motor oil and filter. Find a retailer near you at royalpurple.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I'm your tailgate grill. Your buddy was in such a rush to get into the game, he didn't quite put me out. I see you bought the industrial-sized bottle of lighter fluid. Smart. And if you got cut rate insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get an Allstate agent and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Mayhem is everywhere. Are you in good hands?
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. We're live from the PRN studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. Cool, crazy, biggest car shows, and even more important that I wanted to share with you, Andy Randolph, my friend from Earnhardt Childress Racing, and he's the technical engine director for Earnhardt Childress. And during his 28-year career at General Motors, I just want to give a little short overview so you'll understand. And in NASCAR, Dr. Randolph is regarded internationally as one of the foremost applied combustion experts in the world. He's contributed to 5 NASCAR championships, and he's currently leads a development team that defines the engine architecture for the Chevy engine supplied by Earnhardt Childress Racing to NASCAR and other racing series. He's authored more than 20 refereed technical publications and received 5 oral presentation awards from the Society of Automotive Engineers. Andy, I don't know how you're going to follow that, but welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming, and I know that you've got a full schedule. Even more so, Ray Evernham, host of Americana on Velocity TV, NASCAR celebrity, Ray, does that fit?
Oh, I don't know. After hearing Andy's intro, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't have any of those awards. Got a couple of them championships, but no, I'm race against Andy stuff.
Well, it's great to have you both in the house. So folks, this is a great power of the microphone here. So I'm going to go first to Ray. Let's talk about the championships first. Just briefly, when were they, and what did it feel when you won the first one?
Well, we started the DuPont number 24 team for Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff Gordon and I were, a long time ago. It's 1992. So 93 we were Rookie of the Year. 94 we won a couple races. In 95 we actually raced the great Dale Earnhardt, Richard Childress racing team for our first championship, and won that in 95. We finished second in 96. We won it again in 97 and 98. And then in 99, I left the team to go start the Dodge program, bring them back into NASCAR. So had a great run with Jeff Gordon. I think we had about 210 starts or so, won 40 championships. It was a good run.
When you're at the end of a good run, or you're close to the championship, and that's when the nerves really start to come online. How do you maintain just the control of your team and settle everyone down and say, okay, we're this far away, only one or two more steps?
Well, that's your job as a crew chief. You're on that box. Everybody's looking at you. You got to stay calm, and the best way to stay calm and be in control is prepared. And when you're prepared and you have a plan, you work with it. But as the leader, it's your job to stay calm. And I always tried to be as prepared. I felt like we had great cars and great engines from Hendrick, and I felt like we had the best driver at that time, and we had a plan. And when something happened was out of the ordinary, I felt like we were prepared to react to it. And again, that was a time in racing, I think, a little bit more control over your destiny than unfortunately these guys do now. We had a lot more room to adjust and do things with the race car. But really no different than being a head coach of a football team or any professional sports team. It's your job to sit up there on that box and be in control and be calm and not panic. We were watching a good movie the other night, Draft Day, and it was all about picking a quarterback that didn't panic. And that's what you'll find in a good crew chief and a good driver. You just don't panic.
Years ago, one evening, I was at the Daytona Speedway on the roof, and there were maybe 2-3 laps to go, and it started to rain. And because I was so far up, I'm sure that I felt the mist before it actually hit the track. Jeff won that evening, that event, and it was a nighttime race. I think it was the first nighttime race. Memory serves me, and I'm sure that you at that time were in charge of the pit crew. Do you remember that night?
Yeah, I believe it was. I think we ran the it was supposed to run in July, and there was some fires down there, and we couldn't run because the fire. It moved to October, and it was run late. We ran at night. It was a 400-mile race, and it was the first race under the lights. It was pretty spectacular, and I do remember, having it. We were leading the race, and it rained, and they stopped it, and we had to go through restarts and be prepared and a break. It was a unique experience.
It was a unique experience, and I was watching, and that's where the improvise. You have to improvise comes in, or you have to make that decision. And I want to turn now to Andy Randolph. And Dr. Randolph, it's great that you absolutely are with us today. What's it like to be in charge of so many moving parts and so many moving people that put those parts together with Earnhardt Childress Racing?
Well, it's a lot of fun every day. The me to the sport is when I first came down and started playing in NASCAR, I found an incredible amount of mechanical aptitude, but at that time there wasn't a lot of science involved in the sport. And through schooling and through my time in General Motors research, I learned a lot about the fundamentals of engine operation, and I saw opportunities to apply science to race engine development. And then that became my mission when I came down here. And indeed, what we have in NASCAR is a balance between engineering-driven design modifications and a high level of mechanical aptitude and experience to optimize engines right alongside of that. So it's a perfect mix, and it's a great place to be.
So as Ray mentioned, that more restricted today because of all of the new rules, the new laws, parity. I mean, it is what it is. From an engineering standpoint, what not specific to, but how do you extract more than Tom, Dick, or Harry or other race team from the same engine size and car.
It is pretty amazing because if you look at a modern NASCAR Cup engine, really it has its roots back to a 60 small block Chevrolet, and it's still this archaic architecture on the outside where you got 2 valves per cylinder and push rods and flat tappets, and it's really a very old architecture on the outside, but right beneath the surface, it's state-of-the-art materials, surface finishes, tolerances, coatings. There's a variety of mechanisms that we look at to squeak every bit of power out of them, and each year when the year starts, you look at it and you think, we've been polishing on this thing for 50 years now. What are we going to find? But sure enough, every year, if you don't find 5 or 10 more horsepower and you find it in the darndest places, you're not going to.
Now you talk about archaic. I want to switch back to Ray and Ray, your classic car. I know that you have a classic car here with you, but that's a big passion that I understand you have, and you have a garage there of your own. But let's talk about Americana and the new TV series on Velocity. How did that come about?
Well, through 35, 40 years of racing, you travel around the country and meet a lot of great people with incredible stories and find a lot of cars that really bring out that passion. And we started to think how important it is to tell that story of how cars have affected the culture in America and really have had a huge effect on our lives, and try and transfer some of that passion and tell those stories into our younger demographic. And also blue-collar people, heroes around the country that you might not have ever heard of. So we, again, travel around the country finding cars and telling that story, how a specific car affected either a town, a culture, a person's life. And we're just having a lot of fun doing it. One of the cars that we have here is actually, everybody talks about barn finds. Well, we found a garage full of vintage Ford hot rod parts, and we've got a 1934 Ford 5-window 50s hot rod, and that doesn't sound like much. It's got the, some Edmunds aluminum cylinder heads on it, but the thing is that they're very rare because they're 21 stud aluminum heads, and this came from a collector, a man we was 74 years old, a man named Willie Glass, who also at 74 years old set the record for going across Bonneville with an Ardent-powered engine in it at 208 miles an hour. So everything from finding the car that Elvis snuck in and out of Graceland with, to Freddie's first car, the first car he took his very first laps at Indianapolis with. We've been pulling stuff out of garages across the country.
How's Velocity to work with?
Velocity people are great, and I can say this, but Bob Scanlon, the general manager there, believed in the program, went to bat for me. They are really, truly the car network. They are dedicated and focused on telling stories, whether that's build shows or historical events, anything to do with automobiles. Right now, Velocity is the Car Guys Network.
I mentioned earlier with other guests that we're outside the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the history of transportation, classic style, to include Mercedes and 268-mile-per-hour C1000 and almost any Chevrolet Camaro that you want to see, or the goats. And it's amazing that you and the you've had with NASCAR, and now you're in a position to where you can continue not only the sport but the history of it, and you're making history all the while with Americana. And I just want to say on air right here from the PRN studios, I congratulate you and the team at Velocity for bringing to light a part of the story that most people would never see without that show, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Bob. We certainly, again, appreciate that, because this, the car has become more function than form, and just want to bring back to our younger people and tell them that story of how cars really created passion and had an effect on the way we dress, whether it's music, us three guys sitting around this table right now, we can think back to our first car. It had a lot to do with our life. It was our freedom. It might first dates, proms, things like that. And just
what was your first car?
My first car was a 1965 Malibu SS, and God, Bobby, I wish I had it back.
Mine was a 49 Plymouth two-door that had the most gorgeous corrugated bumpers that they all used on classic cars. What was your first car?
A Gremlin X.
You got to be kidding.
No, I thought it was the greatest thing at the time.
I bet you wish you had that back now. They're pretty cool.
3-speed manual.
From an engineering standpoint, the valve covers never stop leaking oil. What do you mean?
So that's all right. We love oil.
That's
okay.
I want to thank you for sharing your information and your knowledge, and congratulate you. We had earlier on and a gentleman that talked about moonshine, Walt Hollifield, and moonshine denatured is ethanol, and I know that you are a proponent of ethanol, and you've done a great job, to educate people as to the assets of renewable industries, renewable fuels, and I thank you for that. I wish I had more time to spend with both of you gentlemen, but I just want to say that from a standpoint of Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Charlotte Auto Fair and Bobby Likis' crew, and Kent Bernhardt, our producer, just through that other window, what a great opportunity to share what you bring to the table in so many different ways, from engineering, from new ideas, and from engineering and new ideas and old ideas that are new, again, because of what you do. And so thank you, Ray, and thank you, Dr. Randolph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, folks, it doesn't get any better than, well, it may. You have to stick around, because coming up, Tom Cotter, who is the author of 50 Shades of Rust. And I bought one of those books yesterday afternoon at the auto fair. And I looked through it, and I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to ask him. One's to do with chicken poop. So don't touch that dial. From the PRN studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Like us, you're going to love us. We'll be back.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that performs.
Fixed point that's even with a car in front of you. If you reach that same point before counting to 3, you're driving too close and need to fall back. Visit escortradar.com to learn about the all-new Passport and Passport Max 2, both featuring built-in Bluetooth connectivity. Don't just drive smarter. Escort.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
This is Willie Works.
Hello.
Back to answer all your laundry questions, like how to get out those tough embedded odors.
Like when your husband comes back from the plant. Woo! Smelling like he brought the whole place home.
Or when one of the cows escapes and you have to wrestle it to the ground. What? I think that's a good one.
They're all good ones, and I have the solution. Febreze for the wash. Just add a capful with your detergent and odors disappear.
Wow! 1 capful is all it takes?
Yep, Febreze for the wash. 1 cap, 1 wash.
And say goodbye to odors.
Another great place to use Visa. Your heart pounds. Your body sweats. Whatever you do, don't look down. Okay, you can look. Because this is the Boulder Rock Club, the largest indoor climbing club in Colorado, where 10,000 square feet of scalable walls give you all the thrills of a Rocky Mountain climb. So bring your sense of adventure and your Visa card, because the Boulder Rock Club will take you to the top, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million. That it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're live from the PRN studios here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, brought Nationwide Insurance and Haggard Partnership. If you're restoring a classic car and you have one that's sort of in the works and you don't know how to get coverage for it. Well, guess what? Now there's coverage, and that's a whole new way to look at protection for you. So it's a great opportunity. I had the opportunity earlier, and if you heard earlier today's show, if not, you can go back online and download it, iPods, iTunes, and your Facebook and Twitter and all of the social media. Instagram, as I know that we're also available through right now. Again, we're live from the PRN studios in Charlotte. My next guest is an unusual individual, at least from the short period of time that I spoke with him earlier, Tom Cotter. And he actually has written several books. The last one, the one that I bought, is 50 Shades of Rust. So imagine finding in a barn somewhere this old car, and it's all covered up with, well, you know what? I'm going to let him share with us because he's actually uncovered those automobiles. So, Tom, I want to welcome you to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you.
The book, 50 Shades of Rust. And by the way, the book that you're holding, sir, belongs to me. I want to initially first hear a little bit about Tom Cotter.
Well, my business card. I'm going to show you my business card.
Okay.
I'm taking out my wallet here now, but I'm a car guy.
I'll give you it back.
It's getting stuck in my pants. So I don't play golf. I don't fish. I don't hunt. I do one thing in life, and that's cars.
I didn't know that car guys did play golf or fish or hunt. I mean, ironically, I don't fish, I don't play golf, and I don't hunt. I did catch 2 fish. I have caught 2 fish in my life.
Well, look at my title on there.
Okay, folks, his title is this is really cool. Certified Car Geek, Tom Cotter.
And I've worked my whole life to have that title. I've done a lot of things in my life, always around the automotive industry. I had a repair shop when I got out of school. I sold parts. I worked in a car dealership. And those were all in preparation for getting where I really wanted to be, which was automotive and racing public relations. This speedway that you're at right now, years ago, I was the PR director here. And I used to put on Auto Fair, which is going on right now behind us. So I was the PR director here for 4 years, and then opened my own agency called Cotter Group and ran that for 15 years. And we started off with 2 people with a folding card table. And when I sold the business, we had 90 employees, and it was the racing agency in the world. Racing is a great industry, but my passion is old cars, always, always. I like racing. I love the industry. I don't watch races very much, but I love old cars. And since I'm 14, I've been hunting for old cars. On the school bus, I'd be riding to school and seeing at the driveway a Model A Ford Roadster, and I'd make a note, and then that Saturday I'd go back on my bicycle and go talk to the guy.
At that age?
Yeah.
Way back then.
Well, I own a car, the 39 Ford Woody I have. I bought when I was 15 years old. It was a barn find, and I still own it today. So this is all I've ever done, and I love it. I feel like Huck Finn sometimes.
Well, and to that end, what was your first book? What was your first book, and when did you decide that? I mean, everyone, I think, at least I, and I've had people say, "Oh, you should write a book. You've done so many. You had so much experience, but to think that you should write a book and actually do it, that's 2 different things. So how did you go about writing your first book? How long did it take?
Well, I've written 11 books now, and I'm working on 12, 13, and 14 as we speak. My first book, I moved to Charlotte from New York to take the job at the Speedway here, and I was driving around my new town, and I went past this huge old brick building near the airport, and I didn't pay much attention to it. It was kind of vines growing out of it and kind of ramshackle. But then I saw there's an old gas tank in back, this huge gas tank, and it said Holman and Moody on it. Oh my God.
Oh, Holman and Moody, yes, Ford.
I said, so I stopped the car. It was a Sunday morning. I stopped the car and just walked around and looked, and it said employee entrance and whatever. And I said, boy, if these walls could talk, what could it tell me? So I started to write a book about the history of Holman and Moody when I was here as the PR director. Well, that job got busy. And then I opened an agency, and I got busy. So from the time I started that book to the time I finished it was but that was my first book, and it was the history of Holman and Moody. My second book took a year. That was The Cobra in the Barn. And now I can whip out a book maybe every 6 months. So I often do 2 books a year, or maybe 1 book a year. But it's part of my DNA to write books. I don't watch TV. People say, how do you find the time? I just don't watch TV. I feel bad because I just passed Ray Everham in the hallway. I love Ray, but I've never seen his show because I just don't watch TV.
So, but for me, and with regard to, you mentioned the Cobra.
Mhm.
I've built a Cobra in my life, which was a phenomenal experience. I don't know that I'd ever do that again.
Yeah.
But I did feel like that it was maybe 85%. That you never finish a car, but to write the book, I think it's just unbelievable, and to crank one out every. Where do you get the ideas? I mean, I know they're about cars, and I want to get into two things. Number one, your 50 Shades of Rust, which I love the title, and look.
And it's
the
about
book.
rust, not lust. Okay.
Well, that's right. Yeah, right. But and folks, there's a page, and we're talking with Tom Cotter, automotive extraordinaire, and author. There's one on page 86.
86.
There's a Michael Cummings of get this, folks, Cumming, Georgia.
Michael's a good friend of mine. I was the president of the Formula One Grand Prix in New Jersey a couple of years ago, and Michael was my CFO, and so we both lived in Manhattan, both Southern guys, and we would sit at a bar, usually the Oyster Bar, which is downstairs from Grand Central Station, eating oysters and fish and drinking beer and talking about the car home. Well, now we're both back home because the Formula One race didn't happen. And but he's got a cool 1944 coupe that was a moonshine car. It's got an Oldsmobile rocket engine in there, and it's a blast.
So that's just one of the highlights that really got my. And then, folks, this is so cool. When I was thumbing through the book, and by the way, the book has the foreword written by Wayne Carini. He's joined us on for the Great Race. He helped to kick off the Great Race in Maryland, I think, or Massachusetts, one of the two. I apologize, I don't remember, but it was 8 days, and we actually drove down to the villages in South Florida to cover the final day of the race.
Oh, that's cool.
So congratulations, and Wayne's I've never met that gentleman, but certainly does a great job. But I want to lead to page 111. So if you'll flip through your own book there.
Yeah.
If you'll flip through your hymnals to page 111, I'm going to sing to you
the chicken
poop convertible. I saw that, and folks, it's been my dream to find, and here's what everyone looks for, just if you're not into classic cars or you've always wanted to be, the barn find. And I want to get into the barn find next. So you uncover what you don't know what is under all that stuff. I don't know where that stuff comes. Where does the stuff come from that besides the chicken?
It's sleds and bicycles and lawn rakes and
straw and dust.
Yeah.
But I have found that that is somewhat of a protectant for the cars. Is that not
also,
true?
If cars are hidden, even when the garage door is up. Now, a barn finder like me, we get serious on Saturdays and Sundays because people open their garage doors because they're doing yard work. So the doors that are usually closed and the cars are concealed on weekends, wow, there they are. So if a car is heavily covered with stuff, people don't notice it. If it's right there, sitting there beautifully, well, it would have disappeared 20 years ago.
Sure.
So I love cars that I can only see a piece of the taillight lens because that's why it's still there.
So as you walk us through a particular moment that pops into your mind, I hope that I bring that, when you found some prize, some jewel, something that made your brought your arm.
Well, I know it exactly.
Okay, share with us.
Well, often I'm asked to speak for groups, car groups, about barn finds. So I was speaking to the Sports Car Club of America, the Carolina region in Spartanburg, South Carolina, years ago, about barn finds. And it was their award banquet. It happened in December, and they were awarding, deep production, and whatever. So I give my little spiel, and then I sit down at my table to eat my rubber chicken, and the guy next to me taps me on the shoulder. He said, "What would be your ultimate barn find?" I said, my whole life was a 289 Cobra, but I found that, and I have it in my garage.
A real 289 Cobra?
Oh, yeah. So he said, "What would be your second favorite barn find?" I said, "It sounds crazy because there's only 25 in the world, but it would be a Cunningham." And I didn't think he knew what a Cunningham was.
Now, I have to interrupt here. How much rust was on the Cobra? That's a rhetorical question. And how much rust was on the Cunningham?
Well, the Cunningham has no rust because it's aluminum body.
Aluminum body, I know. Yeah. So of the two cars that you found, and you have this 50 shades of rust, and they're not even rustable.
You know what? I've found hundreds of cars that had lots of rust.
Yeah,
these
I'm sure.
These just happen to be two.
Okay.
But the guy said, I know where there's a Cunningham. And I said, oh, my God. And then I said, wait a minute. I'm in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's got to be a fiberglass car with a Corvair engine. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He says, a friend of mine owns it, and I'll take you there next week. Well, son of a gun, in Greenville, South Carolina, it was in a basement. It had been there for 30 years. It was a real Cunningham. And it took me several years to talk this guy into selling it to me. But one of 25 cars. It's the second one built. And what an amazing story. It's got a 331 Hemi with 4 single-barrel Zs.
Really?
A 3-speed CAD LaSalle transmission. The whole chassis was built in West Palm Beach, Florida. And then they shipped it over to Turin, Italy, where Vignali built an aluminum body. It's like the best of both worlds, an Italian hot rod. Wow.
God, I'm surprised that Italians would put up with an American running gear.
Well, it's an American car.
Well,
Briggs Cunningham built it because he wanted to race at 24 Hours of Le Mans, but you had to be a manufacturer to race there. So he had to build 25 cars. It was the most expensive American car at the time. In 1952, you could have bought 3 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, the price of 1 Cunningham.
Unbelievable. Okay, let's backtrack to you're a youngster, you're on the bus, you see a car in the driveway, you said, oh, and you make notes, and then you do whatever it is that you had to get through school and get out, or not, and you go back and you buy that car. Now let's fast forward to 2014. Again, we're broadcasting from the PRN studios here live at the Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Charlotte 2014 Auto Fair. What would be your ultimate road trip?
Well, I'm taking it next week. I leave a week from yesterday, Friday, and my friend Brian Barr and my photographer friend Michael Allen Ross, we're getting in my 39 Ford Woody wagon. We're leaving my driveway. Let's turn left, let's turn right.
Wait. This is going to be like a barn
find road trip.
So you're going to go find, and what's the plan?
No plan. I'm going to end at Hershey 2 weeks later, and I'm going to write a book. There's going to be 14 chapters, 1 chapter for each day, 14 days on the road of finding cars. And I don't know where I'm going, but I have enough confidence in my talent that it's going to be an interesting book.
Well, and to that end, are you a little bit anxious as far as will I find? How do you find?
I'll find dozens of cars each day because I know the kind of houses they sit behind. I know that grass in the driveway in front of a garage door hasn't been open in a long time. I know they go behind body shops, in the very back row of used car dealerships. I know where they are.
You have a crystal ball.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it is great, and it's that experience, and as I see it, it's the enthusiasm. And folks, you should see the look on Tom's face.
I'm 60 years old. I feel like I'm 14.
And therein lies, I believe, as we talked earlier with Walt Cunningham, Walt Hollifield. I believe that's where the connection between the new generation, the younger generation, and the generation, that we love cars, but for us, it was, for me, it was something that I could share with me, and I could, and the cars that I had, I never could afford the cars that I really wanted, and now I have 3 or 4 cars that I really don't know what to do with because I don't drive them. Do you have cars that you don't drive?
I've got 25 cars I don't drive.
Is it okay not to drive a car?
No, it's not. You know,
I didn't want you to say that.
Cars go bad when they don't get used. The hydraulics build up moisture in them. The brakes go bad.
Right.
The batteries go dead. The gas in the tank, in the lines, and in either system of the carburetor turns to jelly. The tires go. They become flat spotted. Cars need to be driven, or they just go bad.
So, have you written a book on this? No, specifically?
I'm trying to get rid of about 15 cars because I want to come down to the 10 cars that I really love to drive. And you know what? I've got a Cobra. I love to drive it. But I've got a 36 horsepower Volkswagen convertible that I love to drive too. You know, so my taste is so varied. I'm building a 32 Ford Highboy that in my head I've been building since I'm 15. I want to finish that.
So what about a how-to book on how to go from an existing classic car owner with a lot of cars to an existing classic car owner with a lot of cars that work?
Boy. You know, I'm friends with Jay Leno. He's got about 130 cars and 80 motorcycles. He drives every car because he's got a staff that keep them all exercised.
You have to admire him for that. I mean, he's
got a Cunningham. He just bought a Cunningham.
Really?
I brokered a Cunningham from an 85-year-old to Jay, and he said, I got to own that car. I love the whole story.
Well, Tom, I want to thank you for the time, for sharing your enthusiasm. I want to remind you that because of the nationwide insurance and Haggerty Classic Car Insurance, the cars in your garage can be covered, and even the cars that you, and he's smiling again, even the cars that you currently have under construction, those cars are covered.
Haggerty is my broker. I have $1,007.5 worth of value insured through Haggerty, and I write for their magazine. And I just had lunch in Traverse City, Michigan, with the owner.
Well, there you go. Ask and you shall receive. So, Tom, you great. I don't know which of all my guests I've enjoyed more today. Everyone's brought so much to the table, as Charlotte Motor Speedway does with the Charlotte Auto Fair. It's an annual event. There's the cue, the end of the program. Thank you for joining me on Bobby Likis.
I'm going out to find a rusty fender right now.
Yeah. There you go, folks. Barn Find Road Trip, Bobby Likis. See you next week. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. The corn as food versus fuel duel is emotional, not factual. Fact is that ethanol is produced from field corn for livestock, not sweet corn for humans. And ethanol production from field corn utilizes only the starch. Remaining vitamins, protein, and fiber are sold as livestock feed. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Go ahead, hit me. Yeah, come on, in the face. I need to be prepared.
Oh, sending in the dogs.
Okay, bring it on. Oh, man.